What's up, y'all? It's your boy eBay Fight Predictions in the building, and we're gonna be talking about the top five threats to the lightweight division. So I told y'all every week, up until UFC 260, we will be doing a top five threats to each weight class. Can't wait for UFC 260. Alexander Volkanovski versus Ortega, Francis versus Stipe. So this is something a little fun I thought we could do. But yeah, so this division is a lot weirder than 145, 135, all the divisions, because this division has a champion that has proclaimed that he's retired. So really, the video was supposed to be named Top Five Threats to Khabib Nurmagomedov, but I feel like he's retired. He said he's retired, so I don't think he's gonna come back. So I made a video of the top five threats to the weight class and to the championship, who I think is going to get the championship first, and who I think has the best chance of getting the championship. And I know, Khabib Nurmagomedov is the champion, and I think he is the number one lightweight. He is, pound for pound, the best guy in the world. He proved that against Justin Gaethje. I mean, Gaethje, game as they come. A lot of people believed in Gaethje. It was interesting. I got in a lot of arguments about it, about how good Justin Gaethje is. A lot of people thought Gaethje was even better than Dustin Poirier somehow. I don't know how that happened, but it happened. Uh, yeah, he's proven to be one of the best of all time. His grappling, what he's been able to do to guys like Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, Ali Quinta, just dominate. Even though the Ali Quinta fight was a lot closer, he still was super dominant. I honestly I felt like he won every single round. Al had moments in there where he stuffed some takedowns, but he still lost. And Khabib is a great fighter. I don't think none of these guys beat him. I just think some of these guys might get the title if the title is vacant, and it is what it is. But at number five, I might surprise some people. I gotta go with the Motown phenom, Kevin Lee. This number five spot was really hard. I could have put Conor McGregor in here. I could have put Beneil Dariush. I could have put a lot of people in here. Maybe Dan Hooker, at this number five spot. I feel like Conor. I'll talk more about Conor when I go through the list. But Dan Hooker, coming off a loss like that to Michael Chandler, I think is he's just out of the top five loop. I think he's gonna have to kind of rebuild himself. Beneil Dariush is another guy that could have got put on this list, and I think he's another guy that's kind of out of this loop. Tony Ferguson, I feel like, is out of his prime, and he's another guy I could have put in this loop. The reason why I put Kevin Lee in here is Kevin Lee's young. He's been through the he's been through the trenches, in my humble opinion. He's fought the top five guys. He's been a top five guy himself. He was, I think, ranked as high as number 4 in the division. He's fought for an interim title. He's main evented a pay-per-view. He's main evented multiple fight nights. He has some good wins, in Edson Barboza and Michael Chiesa. But I truly believe at what TriStar can do with this kid. I think I listened to some of his interviews, and I truly believe, he has some holes he got to fix, and I think he's willing to fix those holes now. I know he's always been talking about how he sees holes, but I think now he's starting to notice that this game is, it's a ruthless game. Ali Quinta has a win over him. Rafael dos Anjos has a win over him, and Charles Oliveira. And that's a top guy, the number 3 guy in the world. In the UFC rankings. So no shame in that. And I honestly, you look at that performance he had against Charles Oliveira, and you compare what Tony Ferguson did to Charles. He had, that performance kind of aged a little well for him, and it kind of says like how good is Kevin Lee against those top 5 guys. Really, just Kevin has to fix his cardio and his conditioning. But with Firas Zahabi, with those guys, I think they can fix him, and I think he can be a world champion. I really do believe that. His skill set, his wrestling base, but his striking, he's so good. Really, what it comes down to is he has to enter the top 5, you have to prove what you can do in the championship rounds. And in those championship rounds, he's folded. So really, he has to show that he's a champion in those championship rounds, and that's what it is. But at number 4, I gotta go with Justin Gaethje, the former interim champion, the guy that just fought Khabib Nurmagomedov. Justin Gaethje, he has a real good chance of becoming champion. He's still a big guy in this division. He does have some losses to some guys in the top 5, and some other guys that's not even in the promotion no more. Eddie Alvarez, one guy in particular, Dustin Poirier, and then Khabib. But Justin Gaethje versus Conor McGregor, I think that fight looks a little different since we've seen what Dustin was able to do to Conor, with those leg kicks and stuff like that, and the way Justin throws him. And Justin's performance against Tony Ferguson and Cowboy Cerrone and Edson Barboza, like he knocked Edson Barboza out. I know there was an eye poke involved, in my humble opinion, that kind of led to that nobody likes to talk about. But he still knocked him out clean. Like no, who's the last? Yeah, like I haven't seen anyone knock Edson Barboza out like that. So he has to be put in contention. Obviously, the Dustin Poirier fight was actually somewhat close. It was a competitive fight, so if they do run it back, you never know. Anything can happen. I think he is a legitimate guy, and him versus Michael Chandler is the fight to make. I think that's going to be a phenomenal, phenomenal fight. And at number 3, I gotta go with the Diamond Dustin Poirier. I know this is kind of crazy that I put him at number 3, y'all. I know some people are gonna be mad at me. And I look at this, and here's why I say Dustin Poirier at number 3. I hear Dustin Poirier talk, and I don't hear championship aspirations. I hear money talk aspirations. I hear money aspirations. His third fight with Conor McGregor will not be for a title, in my humble opinion. I thought the second one should be. The rematch they did should have been for a title, but they didn't do it. I thought it was the perfect time to crown a new champion, but they didn't want to do it. This is why the division is such like a problem, but it's such a good thing for like the other contenders, because Dustin and Conor is not hogging up the title. They're just having kind of like a rivalry and a few fights with no title on the line. So the title is still up for grabs. That's what makes that fight and that situation a great situation for the top 5. But I just do not think Dustin Poirier has the aspirations to become a world champion. I've heard him say he wants to be a world champion, and you listen to the podcast, but it's almost like I feel like, and I know this might piss some people off, I feel like he's kind of happy with winning the interim title over Max Holloway at UFC 236. I think he was somewhat happy with that, and I don't know if he considers that the real championship or a championship that he held, but I feel like he does, and that's just my humble opinion, and that's why I put him at number 3. I don't think he has the aspirations like he used to, but I think he does have the aspirations to whoop on Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor, and like he showed in the rematch, and he said multiple times, like, I don't like this. When you hear that, I don't like to do this. This isn't fun anymore, but he still does it. It is what it is. You hear stuff like that, and it's like, man, what can you say? But he is, in my humble opinion, the best lightweight in the world right now. If you exclude Khabib Nurmagomedov, I don't see him as a big threat to getting that belt like I used to. But yeah, I've talked enough about Dustin Poirier. And at number 2, this pains me to say it because he killed my boy Dan Hooker, Michael Chandler. Chandler is a problem right now, man. He is, oh my God, he has a goddamn fucking rocket up his back by the UFC, and he wants that fucking belt. Hey, I gotta give him one thing. He shocked me with what he did to Dan. That broke my heart. Y'all know me. I love Dan Hooker. And that was hard to watch Dan get dropped like that so easily by a little man in Chandler. But, Chandler has dynamite in his hands, and he's a great wrestler. He reminds me a lot of T. Wood. T. Wood in his prime, I feel like. And he is a problem. He's going to be a big, big problem for a lot of these guys. He has a good chin. He's tough, and he goes at it with guys. He's not afraid to go to wars and go hard for 6 minutes straight. Now, I guess his number one problem is his cardio. We've talked about that throughout his whole entire Bellator career. But he did knock out. Well, he didn't knock out. He submitted Eddie Alvarez. And he knocked out Benson Henderson and knocked out Dan Hooker. So he has some good wins. He's an accomplished guy. Nothing against him. Yes, he does have his losses to Pitbull, but I feel like in this division, he is a problem, man. And if he fights Justin Gaethje, I see this more 50-50 than 60-40 for Gaethje. I really do. I see it 50-50. I don't think Gaethje has an overall advantage. Gaethje has been cracked before. He's been knocked out before, so it's possible. The thing with Gaethje is, will he bring a war, and will he fight a little different from how he's been fighting when he fights Chandler? Because they both have had situations where they kind of had to stop fighting a certain way I feel like when they fight each other, I feel like we're going to see a war. Or we might see a quick knockout. You never know with these two. So, but I really do think Chandler's wrestling and a lot of his abilities will separate himself from a lot of these guys at lightweight. And I think he has a real legitimate chance of fighting for a UFC belt or at least getting a UFC belt. So, but yeah. But at number 1, Kendall Berryman, it's your boy, Charles Oliveira. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the biggest fan of this guy, but man, has he been a sore side in my back. I've picked both of his fights wrong. I picked Tony Ferguson and Kevin Lee to beat this guy, and he's proven me wrong. I think he's on a 9-fight win streak right now, or 8-fight win streak. I think it's 8. And he has just been looking phenomenal lately, and what he's been able to do to build his brand and build, his abilities now at a top 5 level. The guy has losses to Cub Swanson, Frankie Edgar, Max Holloway, so many, Cowboy Cerrone, like so many guys, and now he looks like, a world beater. And what he was able to do to Tony Ferguson, it just scares me. Like, he is good everywhere. He maintains a high guard. He works with the guys, the Lima brothers, I think in Houston, right? Or not in Houston, I think it's Atlanta or something like that. He works with those guys sometimes, and you could just see the effects of his striking, his high guard, and his Muay Thai just looks amazing. And he's just been looking amazing. I'm just sorry to say it. I think he's a legitimate guy. He is so good everywhere. The only place where I can see Charles Oliveira having problems is just him being a tin man. He doesn't really have heart like that. That's probably his number one weakness. I think he's not willing to have a war. He hasn't really dealt with a lot of adversity in his last 8 fights. I think Tamor kind of dropped him, right? Tamor dropped him, I remember, when I was doing a film study on him and watching a lot of his fights. That's pretty much it. But a lot of guys, they hadn't given him any fits. Like, most of these guys were getting kicked out of the first or second round. That's what's crazy about this guy. And he was just destroying people in that lightweight division when he was making his run. What he did to Clay Guida, Jim Miller, like Jared Gordon. Jared Gordon looked like a nobody, man. And Jared's a good fighter. So what he's doing right now, man, he is on fire. He is hot. I remember I was talking to I wasn't talking, but I was, I guess, responding to my boy, Home Record Knee. And he was saying to me, hey, man, you got to put some respect on Charles Oliveira's name, and he's hot right now, and he's going to beat Tony, and he predicted it. I think Kendall and Homewrecker, one of my subscribers, predicted that, and I give him a lot of credit for it. And yeah, man, this is a legitimate guy at the lightweight division, and I can see him being the number 1 threat to that belt. I can really see him doing that, and I think, he's a dangerous guy for anybody right now. He's scary. So, hope you guys enjoyed that video of my top 5 threats at the lightweight division. Next week, we got the welterweight division. Y'all already know. Top 5 threats to Kumar Usman. I cannot wait to make that video. It's going to be really fun. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Do not forget to follow me on my Twitter. Do not forget to follow me on my Instagram. I love y'all, and goodbye.